point of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
The following program is for mature and logical audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
In just 24 hours, 2 judges arrested by the Trump administration. Now you have a New Mexico judge who allegedly harbored a Tren de Aragua gang member in his home. And a Wisconsin judge, she's accused of facilitating the dramatic courtroom escape of an illegal immigrant with criminal charges.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Thinking Logically. I'm your host, Joseph Anthony Corsai, and you're listening to Elvis Presley, Jailhouse Rock. Why? We'll get into that in a little bit. Quite a lot has happened since our last show. Like you heard in the cold open, we saw not 1, but 2 judges arrested. We also saw Pope Francis be laid to rest. Also, Ryan, you'll like this. The Cleveland Browns have retired Shedeur Sanders' jersey.
Oh, that's great. That's good,
We're
Joe.
going to get into that hopefully we'll have time at the very end of the show, the Browns draft strategy. Lots to cover today, though. This week marks the end of Trump's, let me see if I can say this correctly, Trump's first 100 days in office. We're going to have his and his administration's report card later in the show. Also, a man with ALS, he received one of Elon Musk's Neuralinks and is able to now type on social media while only using his mind. Also, more updates from the DC jet helicopter crash that happened a few months ago. All this and more, but first, a couple updates to the show going forward. First, no show on Thursday. So we will return Thinking Logically next Monday, same time slot, 5 to 6 p.m. That's the first day of May, May 1st. No show that Thursday. Also, starting the second week of June, Thinking Logically will be riding Jimmy Fallon's coattails. We're going to be starting at 3 p.m. instead of 5 on Mondays and Thursdays, starting, I believe, the second week of June. We'll keep on reminding you guys as we get closer and closer. So again, 2 changes coming up in the near future to the show. One starting the second week of June. We're moving from 5 p.m. to 3 p.m. Going to follow Jimmy Fallon. And then number 2, on Thursday, May 1st, there will be no show. We'll be back again on Monday, May 5th. Little 1-week hiatus. Probably at the worst time ever with, having a pope who just died. If you listened to the last episode. Congress is reconvening this week, and President Trump is doing a rally in Michigan, which doesn't seem like a big deal, but we know how rallies go for President Trump whenever everyone seems out to kill him. But let's get into the show. The first segment, it's going to be all about illegals and the criminal judges that support them. And Ryan, I forgot to introduce you into the show. How are you?
I'm doing well. I was pretty preoccupied with all the draft nonsense over the weekend, and I'm finally glad that it's behind us, and I'm going to let my mind rest a little bit because there was a lot that went into this weekend.
Let's fire your mind right up with a question.
Yes.
It's going to lead into this topic. Now, we see a lot of NFL players that get drafted. They go through this long process. They get interviewed. They have legal cases, some of them. Ryan, random question. Have you ever beaten a woman?
Have I ever beaten a woman? I've not, no.
Okay, let's say if you did, hypothetically,
Right.
and you showed up for court at the Beaver County Courthouse, do you think the judge down there during your trial would take you in his chambers or her chambers and say, hey, Ryan Garazunas, go ahead, get on out of here. You don't need to be here. There's
Right.
people looking for you. Do you think they would do that if you beat a woman?
Not very likely, no.
No, unless you get one of them get out of jail free cards.
Right.
Well, that's exactly what happened in Wisconsin with Judge Hannah Dugan. I don't know if you heard this story or our audience heard this story, but she was arrested by the FBI after she reportedly helped an alien, evade arrest. So Hannah Dugan allegedly misdirected the federal agents away from the subject to be arrested in her courthouse. But the entire audience, the entire story is so much worse. So who is this illegal alien that this judge was protecting from ICE? And what were his charges? Well, the man's name is Edward Ruiz, and he was being prosecuted for domestic violence on 2 people, one of them a woman. He beat them so badly they had to go to the hospital. But hey, these victims give them credit because they still showed up in court. And guess what happened when these two people showed up in court to find justice? Probably took a day off work too. Guess what happens when they showed up to find justice? Judge Dugan learned that ICE was outside waiting to arrest this guy, Edward Ruiz, and apparently they were going to arrest him after the court proceedings. So what did Judge Hannah Dugan do? She sent off the ICE officials, then came back into the courtroom, ordered Ruiz and his defense attorney into her chambers, and then took them out through a private exit and told them to leave. This is while a state prosecutor is with the victims in the courtroom. So despite having been advised of the administrative warrant for the arrest of Flores Ruiz, the judge escorted him out and his counsel out of the courtroom through a jury door, which leads to a non-public area of the courthouse. A foot chase later ensued, and the agent pursued Ruiz for the entire length of the courthouse and apprehended him ultimately. The judge was visibly angry that ICE was there to arrest him. Audience, how could a judge who was sworn to enforce the law be so negligent that they're acting as an accessory to a crime involving an illegal alien? And keep in mind, this guy, Ruiz, I looked up his record. He was already deported once in 2013 or 14. He came back into the country illegally again, I believe while Joe Biden was president, yes, and then he committed domestic violence. How can anyone defend this? I don't know, but Amy Klobuchar did without knowing any of the details. Let me read this tweet from her over the weekend. Let me see here. This is not normal, she says. The administration's arrest of a sitting judge in Wisconsin is a drastic move that threatens the rule of law. While we don't have all the details, this is a grave step that undermines our system of checks and balances. Well, Amy Klobuchar, we have all the details now, don't we? Would you like to comment or correct your previous tweet? We're waiting. Amy thinks arresting a judge is bad. Wait till she finds out we arrested former presidents of the United States during an election year. Doesn't that seem worse? Especially when the crime of the former president was saying that Mar-a-Lago's worth so much and not this much. Audience, do you remember over the summer when this show first came on Beaver County Radio? What was the "nobody is above the law" was the quote recited by everyone in the media. Well, where the hell are those people today? Why are they defending illegals here illegally, beating women and killing children? I guess the Democrats and the media only care about children when they don't get their measles vaccines, I guess. That's the only time they care about children, when they don't have the measles vaccine. But this Judge Dugan, she's not the only one running an underground railroad for illegal criminals, gang members. We also saw a judge in New Mexico arrested for, you'll never believe this one, hiding illegal gang members in his home. But before they know any of the details, though, the media rushes in to defend this judge. Again. The media has an issue with a judge who was, no issue, I should say, a judge who was hiding an illegal. They have no issue with that. They have an issue with him being arrested. But when a presidential candidate was arrested in the middle of a campaign, in the middle of the 2024 election cycle, they said no one is above the law in unison, like they were zombies, mindless zombies. But we covered the Wisconsin judge. Listen to the judge in New Mexico. This actually might be worse. He resigned before he was arrested. So law enforcement executed a search on Magistrate Judge Joel Cano's home before. Why do they all have baseball names, Ryan? Ruiz, Cano. Anyway, on Judge Joel Cano's home before arresting 23-year-old Christian Ortega Lopez, who had ties to the Tren de Aragua gang. Remember that gang, audience? We covered them in the summer. They were buying up apartment complexes in Aurora, Colorado. The media said it wasn't happening. Now they say it's happening. Anyway, according to Breitbart, authorities recovered photos on Ortega Lopez's phone of decapitated and mutilated bodies. Ortega Lopez illegally entered the country under President Joe Biden through Eagle Pass, Texas. We know that for sure. He was released from a detention facility just days after entering the country due to overcrowding. Wow, overcrowding. What are the odds? That was the reason. He soon met the judge's wife, Nancy Cano, and started doing construction work. Cano then invited the illegal to live at their house. What is this, an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm? Just inviting random people to live at the house? Judge Cano was seen in multiple photos and videos with the alleged gang member, including one where the illegal was handing him a gun. Okay. And according to the reports, this judge, audience, he smashed the gang member's cell phone, which had pictures of 2 decapitated victims on it. And just the show is called Thinking Logically, audience. So just close your eyes. Let's think logically for a second. If you are a judge and your wife invites some construction worker that's here illegally to live at your home, and then you find pictures of decapitated heads on his cell phone, deleting the pictures should not be your first move. Deleting them should not be your first move. You should get out of the house and call 911. I mean, maybe the heads weren't, maybe he didn't decapitate the head. Ryan, how many decapitated heads do you have on your phone? I don't have any.
My phone?
I'm convinced that I don't have any. I can look through, I got about 30,000 photos. I'm like 99% sure it's 0.
Yeah.
So it's a big fuss. We can't arrest this judge. He just deleted decapitated heads. Don't lose your head over this, guys. You would think that judges never get arrested before. Judges have been arrested in the U.S. before. It's happened. In 2024, Douglas County Judge Christina Peterson, she was charged with battery and obstruction after allegedly striking a cop. There was an Arkansas district judge, Thomas Caruth. He was arrested in 2023 on charges of bribery and obstruction. These were during the Biden administration. Where was the media saying this is dangerous? So dangerous. It's not like we're just arresting judges for what they're saying online. They're aiding and abetting illegal gang members. These aren't Maryland fathers. By the way, I heard the Maryland father isn't even a Maryland father. I heard that kid's not even his. They're just using it as the child as a prop. And these people want to pretend that they care about children. Okay. We could go on and on about the topic of illegal aliens. We can... Actually, we'll just go on for another 10 minutes. Ryan, did you hear about Kristi Noem?
I did not know.
Do you know who Kristi Noem is?
Absolutely.
Probably because she's attractive.
I do know who she is, yes.
Okay. So on Easter Sunday, she had her purse stolen. Did you see it?
No.
Okay. So Jimmy Kimmel even covered this. And I actually saw this clip on last Tuesday. So this is what Jimmy Kimmel, when he talked about it. He said he mocked her. Mocked her for getting robbed. He said, and then we have Kristi Noem, our Secretary of Homeland Security, who had her purse stolen last night. They got away with her driver's license, her apartment keys, her passport, and $3,000 cash, Kimmel said. Who carries $3,000 cash? What is she, T-Pain? And I got to remind Jimmy Kimmel, Kilmar Garcia Parra, he was arrested with almost $3,000 cash on him. And no one cared. They all said that wasn't a big deal. But let me continue on reading Jimmy Kimmel's monologue from his episode on Monday about Kristi Noem whenever she was robbed. So, a thief wearing a medical mask snatched a purse from underneath her seat. Unfortunately for Secretary Noem, the security footage shows that the suspect is a white male, so that's a missed opportunity, Kimmel continued. Well, guess what, audience? Yeah, Ryan, you could probably think about what happened. This weekend, the person who allegedly stole the purse was arrested. Turns out they're actually here illegally.
Oh, wow.
An illegal immigrant was arrested Saturday for stealing Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem's pricey Gucci bag that contained around $3,000 in cash and other personal items. He was a Chilean illegal alien who served jail time in prison in the United Kingdom before this. How racist of Jimmy Kimmel to just assume the person had to be tan-skinned to be here illegally, by the way. Wow. Jimmy Kimmel. Why don't you just throw the Karl Malone paint right now and get right back to the Man Show stuff?
And, with the woman in topic here, she's a successful woman. She's out working, making her money. That's not a surprise to anybody. Why question how much money she has in her purse? You know what I mean?
But not an illegal migrant gang member that was captured illegally and had marijuana and other stuff on him. Not everything has marijuana. But if you're here legally, you got to play by the rules a little bit here, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why do you get more rights than I do? But Kristi Noem, I guess they're saying now it wasn't the fact that she was Kristi Noem. She was a woman. They saw an easy target. What's that telling you about these people coming here illegally, preying on our women and children? And no one cares. We could talk about the I-376 crash. I saw this. Oh, I got this on here somewhere. Remember, Pittsburgh is a sanctuary city. From Colin Dunlap on X. And I'm not the biggest Colin Dunlap fan, but he's right here. It's confirmed Pedro Morales was the driver who killed 2 in this wrong way wreck, and he is in the country illegally. This makes 3 innocent dead people, counting the man killed in Dormont on his motorcycle recently. But tell me more, progressives. Tell me more. Again, maybe Pedro should be allowed to stay as long as he likes, just at the Allegheny County jail. He killed 2 people. Shouldn't even be here. And someone will say, well, whatever. So what? People die in car accidents every day. Are they suggesting that someone else would have been driving behind Pedro the wrong way and would have just hit that woman and her mother anyway? This is the dumbest argument in the world. What else? Oh, I have this story written on here. 2 illegal aliens from Mexico arrested in Colorado for unlawful possession of 180,000 rounds of ammunition. They had .308 and .762. Remember, this is after a Humvee got stolen a couple months ago.
So what you're telling me, Joe, is all these illegals aren't here to work the jobs here in this country. It doesn't sound to me like this is what the argument is. Well, these people, they're going to come, they're going to work the jobs, they're going to do the things you don't want to do.
They're cleaning the toilets here at St. Barnabas. They're supposed to be cleaning the toilets here and then growing strawberries and other things in the fields out there.
And just a list of things that I've heard in the past 4 minutes from you, this sounds far from people that want to come here and do the right thing.
Can you afford to buy 180,000 rounds of ammo? I went to the shooting range 2 months ago. I spent over $100 and some dollars, and I didn't even get 100 rounds, I don't think.
Yeah.
180,000 rounds of ammunition here illegally? Maybe more gun control would have stopped this.
And what are these guys going to do with it? I mean, you know what I mean? This is a lot of ammunition.
Right?
What do you expect?
You got to lay down a lot of covering fire. I don't know what you're going to do with 180,000. Where does it even get stored? How heavy is that? Again, would more gun control stop illegal aliens from purchasing these hundreds of thousands of rounds of ammunition? Maybe they should have done the background check twice, right? All I know, Ryan, audience, we need more gun control so that these illegal aliens here illegally that are also gang members can't buy firearms legally. Don't we have a sponsor that sells firearms? We'll have to play that during the commercial.
Absolutely.
I wonder if they do background checks. I'm sure they do. But again, there's nothing illegal about having 180,000 rounds of ammunition. But if you're also here illegally and have 180,000 rounds of ammunition, buy. Also today, and this was genius. This was an IQ 180 move right here. The Trump administration put roughly 100 arrested immigrants' mugshots on the White House lawn. And why it's genius is because this administration, they're forcing the media to cover this topic in unconventional ways. Listen, these are placed right where the media camera shots take place. So if you're CNN, MSNBC, you're going to get this person convicted of raping a child, and this is his photo. Why doesn't the media cover it? I feel like child rape is a very big deal, especially coming from someone who isn't supposed to be here. Why are they defending this? What else did we see? Oh, nearly 800 illegal immigrants, including convicted killer and suspected terrorists, were arrested in a massive Florida ICE raid. 800. That's what I'm talking about. Does that count as a mass arrest? Does that count as a mass deportation? We're finally seeing it. This is real stuff here. Among those rounded up were members of a vicious migrant gang called MS-13. Maybe you've heard of them. Other crews also, gang crews, as well as a Russian national on the run from Interpol, according to Fox News. Again, I don't know. I don't know. Meanwhile, though, I think it was, this is on, let me see what station I saw this on. It was either CNN or MSNBC. I'm not sure. But Representative Sherry Thandar, he's a Democrat from Michigan. He introduced articles of impeachment against President Donald Trump, saying his reasoning, Kilmar Garcia must be allowed to return. Return where? He already returned. We returned him home already. Ridiculous. All right, we got to take a break before. This next story, and then we got to cut it, is from A Muse on X. And it's a doozy. It's actually scary. He writes, Tren de Aragua gang members employed more than 12 armed active duty U.S. soldiers to protect their underground club engaged in human and drug trafficking in Colorado Springs. Army CID has custody of the soldiers working for the designated terrorist. It says active duty. I listened to the report. They kind of diced up the language. It says active duty. I don't know. Why would active duty military be protecting a Tren de Aragua gang club where drug trafficking and human trafficking was going on? And how do you get away with that? That is strange. That is an interesting story, and that broke today. Pete Hegseth, he's going to have to comment on that one because that's scary. So, do you inform your commanding officer that you have a second job? If you're active duty, you got to be like on. I don't know. But then again, you have that Hummer. There's 2 Hummers. One was an armored Hummer, disappeared in California during the wildfires. Never heard anything at all about that. 180,000 rounds of ammunition. And they got the judges on their side. How scary is this?
You know what else is scary too, Joe? I mean, I'm just a regular guy from here in Beaver County. And, you know that MS-13 is bad news.
Yes.
You know, back when we were having gang issues in Southern California, you know, they would often talk about how scary MS-13 was, where the Bloods and the Crips weren't even as, doing the things that these guys were doing. Yeah. So for our politicians to sit back and just let that border be open and let who knows who walk across that border for year after year after year after year, I'm still sitting here with my mouth hanging wide open, wondering how these people aren't responsible, the people that were in the last administration, the people that refused to monitor and vet these people coming over the border. It's crazy to me, Joe. And again, just a normal guy from Beaver County, I know that MS-13 is bad news.
That's why it all had to be by design. There's no way.
Absolutely. Because these people sitting in these, these smart people sitting in these rooms having meetings, you can't tell me they don't know what MS-13 is. And if they don't belong in there.
No, they can't even identify the tattoos.
So one way or the other, Joe, it's a very screwed up situation that was put forth by the Biden administration, and here we are to deal with it for who knows how long.
You're right. And this is the first mass arrest that I heard of more than just a few dozen people. 800 people, that's a mass arrest. What do we say? The media make this out like the Trail of Tears. We said this right after the election. Get ready. Is that what it's like? They're making it like the Trail of Tears with people here illegally that are criminal gang members.
And with that being said, the result that we're getting are all these people ending up dead in situations, American citizens being
exactly
women. For whatever reason, that party still does not find this as a problem. That is unacceptable, no matter if you're a Republican, a Democrat, an independent, whatever. What just happened should be unacceptable to every
and remember, it's not
legal
men.
American.
It's not men like me and Ryan getting killed. I'm sure it is, but it's mostly women. Just like Kristi Noem had her purse stolen because she looked vulnerable because she was a woman.
Or children. You think that what a time.
What a time to be alive, Joe. We're the minority. We won the popular vote, but we're still the minority apparently because we got the judges against us, the Democrats against us. I don't know. We're going to take a break. Stay tuned, though. When we come back, we're going to have Donald Trump's administration's report card. When we come back to Thinking Logically, our 99.3 FM WBVP. It's Joe again from Thinking Logically, here to tell you about one of my favorite clothing items, the MyPillow hoodie. 2 things I love the most about this hoodie are how it fits and how it feels. This hoodie is extremely roomy, and its terry cloth material makes it lighter than any other hoodie I own. Use promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings. The MyPillow hoodie. Get yours today. It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Galla with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Galla of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond. Hey everyone, it's Joe from Thinking Logically here to tell you about one of my favorite places to eat, Bowser's Restaurant in Monaca. I'm a big fan of their 2-meat plate. Sometimes I get it with the pulled pork, and sometimes I get it with ribs, but I always get it with their amazing brisket. Don't forget to try all their smokehouse sides as well. Takeout and catering available too. Again, that's Bowser's Restaurant at 1493 Old Broadhead Road in Monaca.
Tri-State Sporting Arms on Main Street in New Brighton is now open. Stop in and explore their extensive selection of high-quality firearms, pistols, and accessories. Tri-State Sporting Arms also pays top dollar for used firearms. Their experienced and highly trained staff is here to assist you in selecting the right firearm for you. Stop on down to Beaver County's newest firearms store, Tri-State Sporting Arms, at 807 3rd Avenue, New Brighton, or check them out on Facebook.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically, our 99.3 FM WBVP. We covered a lot in the first segment. The two judges that were arrested for aiding and abetting criminal illegal gang members here in the country illegally. They were both arrested. They deserve to be arrested. Also, lots of other crimes involving illegals in the country and in our county and the county over. Remember Allegheny County, the crash on I-376? Guess that man was an illegal alien. Got illegal aliens here with 180,000 rounds of ammunition. By the way, Tri-State Sporting Arms, they just played the spot for them. Do you think they even have 180,000 rounds of ammunition to sell to people? I mean, maybe they do. I don't know, but it's pretty sad if an illegal alien has more 308 rounds than Tri-State Sporting Arms. So, Tri-State, let us know. Do you have 180K rounds of ammunition? We're dying to know. Okay, this is from ABC News. Donald Trump has the lowest 100-day job approval rating of any president in the past 80 years. This comes with public pushback on many of his policies and extensive economic discontent, according to a new ABC News and Washington Post poll. This must be the same poll and the same pollsters that said Kamala Harris was surging in Iowa right before the election. And that Trump didn't have a chance at winning. Oh, I love these pollsters. I guess it all depends who you ask, though. I know a lot of people that are absolutely loving every minute of this. That was Loverboy, by the way. Oh, I'm sorry. Is it Loverboy or is it Foreigner? It's Foreigner.
I'm not sure.
I think it's Foreigner, which is odd because we don't want any more foreigners here in this country unless they are spending $10 million on a Trump gold card to get citizenship. I think it is Foreigner. All right. To the guy that's hot-blooded, Donald Trump. So, by the time we come back, we'll actually no show Thursday. We come back Monday. We'll already be 100 days in. I think today is day 98. Wednesday's day 99 and a half, technically, whatever you want to call it. And then Wednesday or Thursday's day 100. So these are the Trump administrations that I have, their grades so far. J.D. Vance. Honestly, I should give him an A+, but just an A. He's been an amazing VP. Best VP, most outspoken VP this country has had or seen since Teddy Roosevelt. The quotes, do you even wear a suit? He said to Zelensky. Did you even say thank you? The way they tag team, him and Trump tag team Zelensky in that Oval Office. The way he told Margaret from, what was her name? Margaret Brennan. I don't care, Margaret. I don't care if he was radicalized before he came here or not. I don't want him in my neighborhood. J.D. Vance gets an A. Same thing with Tom Homan. Big raids are finally starting. Tom Homan, straight out of Central Casting, he gets an A. Marco Rubio, giving him an A too. And this is probably the biggest shock to me. I expected Marco Rubio to be a total lightweight. I'm not going to lie. I expected Trump to essentially be his own Secretary of State and for little Marco to be an empty suit. He's big Marco now. He's all grown up. So, Scott Bessent, he gets a B+. This was his quote over the weekend. There was a story 10 days ago that said this is the worst April for the stock market since the Great Depression. 10 days later, the NASDAQ is now up for the month of April, and I haven't seen a story that says stock market had the biggest bounce back ever. That's from Scott Bessent. Again, B+, we'll give him. Pete Hegseth, he had the Signalgate issue, but we got to give him a B. Again, the attack on Iran, the attack that Signalgate focused on, that attack was a success. It just gets minimalized because of a fake narrative by Jeffrey Goldberg. Jeez, what's wrong with me? Dan Bongino, we're giving him an incomplete. He hasn't been there long enough. At the same time, Kash Patel, I'm going to give him a C. Kash, can we please find out who planted the pipe bomb on January 6th, please? You were campaigning on that for all intents and purposes. We'll give Tulsi Gabbard a B+. Looks alone. I guess I can't be a teacher. I can't be a teacher. Eating all looks alone, going to get me in trouble. Robert Kennedy Jr. gets a B. I'm excited to try the new Steak and Shake beef tallow fries, number 1. Number 2, I can't wait to see come this fall what he promised with autism. Something going to come to light? I don't know. RFK is going to get a B. Pam Bondi, I'm sorry, today you might have gotten an A this week, but so far, D+. The Epstein listing at the White House, that hurt you. That hurt your stock. Elon Musk, he gets an A. I would give him an A+, but he won't wear a suit or a tie in the Oval Office. So I gotta bump him down a grade. But he's done great things. He's a billionaire and he's giving up his time to the country, for the country, I should say. Kristi Noem, B-. I'm not gonna lie, she probably gets a B- instead of a C+. Because of her looks. She's just been in photo ops. She's just done, aside from getting her purse stolen, she's only been in photo ops for the administration. I don't exactly know what she's doing. Mike Waltz, he gets a D. Signalgate, I blame on him. He gets a D. Much room for improvement for Mike Waltz. He might have been the closest one to being on the chopping block in the Trump administration. And then there's Stephen Miller, a.k.a. La Kosher Nostra. A+. There's no one better to come out. He's like, I don't know if they chain him up and then unleash him onto the press. And when he comes back in, if they have to put the chains back on him, but that man is dangerous to the legacy media. Oh. And then there's Trump. Ryan, just play the audio of what we give Trump. He graded himself.
I hate to do it, but I will do it. I would give myself an A+. Is that enough? Can I go higher than that?
And if you're listening, you know the number, 724-843-1888 or 724-774-1888. Tell us, what's your favorite thing you've seen from the Trump administration in the first 98 and a half days? All right, moving on. Talk about the Pope's funeral. So, I keep hearing the main story from that day was, of course, Trump wearing a blue suit instead of a black one. Ryan's throwing his hands up in the air because if you've seen it too, then then the media did its job. They circled that narrative full force. Then at least Trump wore a freaking suit. Zelensky couldn't even wear a suit to a funeral. In audience, listen, burn this one in your brain because it's a fact, and this is why Zelensky he can't wear a suit because he has to appear poor in public. You never see a panhandler wearing a suit. Zelensky wears a suit because he has to. If he doesn't wear a suit, Zelensky doesn't wear a suit because he can't. If he wears a suit, he breaks character. He looks distinguished. You don't feel bad for Ukraine anymore. You don't put your hands in your pocket and pull out the pocket change for Zelensky in Ukraine when you see him dressed nice in a suit. It's all for appearances. Burn that into your brain. Who else had a blue suit on? Prince William, he had a blue suit on. Lots of heads of state were wearing blue suits. But for some reason, it's only an issue when President Donald Trump wears a blue suit. Ryan, do you know fashion? Are you a fashion connoisseur?
Not really, no.
Me neither. But I asked my wife, and she says black and blue, or any dark colors in general, are all acceptable at funerals.
What I was, my only question would be what I'm seeing from a lot of people that are commenting on this show is that they are saying that when the people were invited to the funeral for the Pope, that they are told to wear a black suit. Now, whether this is true, whether this is just people talking online, I don't know. But they're saying that he kind of went against what he was told and went and wore the blue suit. So again, I don't know. That's what part of the argument coming from the other side is.
Prince William or whatever his name is.
Right.
You got to do the same thing. There's lots of other heads of state. Again, I don't know. I've never seen Trump wear anything but a blue suit, though.
Yeah, you're right.
It's like his uniform, his go-to uniform.
I mean, he wasn't there in flip-flops and a tank top. You know what I mean?
No. He was like Zelensky.
Right.
He said.
Very appropriate for a funeral.
Yeah. Yeah. Very appropriate for the Pope's funeral, too.
Right.
Unlike Zelensky, who didn't wear a suit to the Pope's funeral because he has to appear poor. It's all about appearances. If you go and you see Zelensky in a suit, that's it. The narrative's gone. It's just, and you don't realize it. That's how good, the media is still good at that. They're still good at that. Did you see the viral photo of Trump talking to Zelensky when they were both?
I have not, no.
So look it up, audience, if you get a chance. They're both in St. Peter's Cathedral, sitting in two chairs next to each other, facing, crouched over. It's like Zelensky was acting up in church, and his father, President Trump, had to take him in the back and explain to him what's going to happen if you don't start behaving. You ever been to St. Titus? That would happen to me and my cousins all the time at St. Titus Church, and once or twice at St. Francis Cabrini. But before the two sat down, Zelensky and Trump, Zelensky wanted France's leader, President Macron, to join the talks with Trump. The Vatican did put 3 chairs there, but Trump saw the 3rd chair. I think he realized what was happening. He realized why there were 3 chairs, and he went over to Macron and he whispered something. I think he told him that he's going to talk to Zelensky one-on-one. They had lip readers, but I don't know if I could believe what the lip readers say. So what's weird is how Macron looked. He looked just as, if not more worried than Zelensky for some reason. I don't know if audience, Trump's done. He's not playing their endless war games anymore. I think some NATO countries, France included, fear Zelensky might actually listen to President Trump, because he has no other cards to play, remember, and strike a deal with Putin and Trump and have peace. And that would shut down the money laundering operation that's been disguised as a war to save democracy at a price of like $100 and some billion of our tax-paying dollars. Let me read Trump's comments from this morning on the war in Ukraine. Remember, he wants a peace deal. He said, you could imagine parents from Ukraine and from Russia waving to their son as he leaves, and a week later, he's dead on the battlefield. I see the satellite pictures. I don't even like looking at them. Again, who wants war? Who wants war? Is it Donald Trump? Is it NATO? Is it Putin? Who wants peace? Putin's ready to talk peace. Is Zelensky ready to talk peace? Is Zelensky allowed to talk peace? And if not, who isn't allowing him? NATO? Ukraine isn't in NATO. Something's not right here. And I think we are on the cusp or precipice of something happening. I don't know what, but weird things are going on the global scene. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, though, we're going to... Remember Virginia Guffey? She killed herself. Yes. She killed herself, Ryan.
Very interesting, yes.
All right, we're going to cover that when we return here to Thinking Logically on 99.3 FM WBVP.
It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Galla with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Galla of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond. It's Joe again from Thinking Logically, here to tell you about one of my favorite clothing items, the MyPillow hoodie. 2 things I love the most about this hoodie are how it fits and how it feels. This hoodie is extremely roomy, and its terry cloth material makes it lighter than any other hoodie I own. Use promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings. The MyPillow hoodie. Get yours today. Hey everyone, it's Joe from Thinking Logically here to tell you about one of my favorite places to eat, Bowser's Restaurant in Monaca. I'm a big fan of their 2-meat plate. Sometimes I get it with the pulled pork, and sometimes I get it with ribs, but I always get it with their amazing brisket. Don't forget to try all their smokehouse sides as well. Takeout and catering available too. Again, that's Bowser's Restaurant at 1493 Old Broadhead Road in Monaca.
Tri-State Sporting Arms on Main Street in New Brighton is now open. Stop in and explore their extensive selection of high-quality firearms, pistols, and accessories. Tri-State Sporting Arms also pays top dollar for used firearms. Their experienced and highly trained staff is here to assist you in selecting the right firearm for you. Stop on down to Beaver County's newest firearm store, Tri-State Sporting Arms, at 807 3rd Avenue, New Brighton, or check them out on Facebook.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically here on 99.3 FM WBVP, sponsored by So Fresh, So Clean Pressure Washing. Whether you need your house washed, driveway clean, patio done, fences, gutters, you name it. Call Dave from So Fresh, So Clean Pressure Washing at 724-252-4489. That's 724-252-4489. They're fully insured and offer free estimates. So what are you waiting for? Don't be the outcast in your neighborhood this summer with a dirty Decker house. Call So Fresh, So Clean pressure washing today. Okay, so let's talk about some things, I guess, across the globe a little bit. Actually, let's just do... How about this one, audience? 6 days after celebrating 100% renewable power, Spain blames a rare atmospheric phenomenon for the nation's largest blackout in history. So there was mass blackouts over Spain, Portugal, and in parts of France. Power's down for entire cities. Again, this is the Green New Deal stuff, I guess. Who knows? But, wow, blackouts. Imagine a blackout here. Jeez. All right, and as promised, we're going to get to Virginia Giuffre now. So, one of the accusers of Jeffrey Epstein, Virginia Giuffre, remember, she was in an accident a few weeks ago. We covered this. She got hit by a school bus in Australia, and we first saw reporting that she was going into renal failure, kidney failure, whatever it was. Then it was reported that the accident with the bus was just a minor accident. But then no one really knew if she was going to make it or not. And then I guess she recovered from that, put out a tweet, and then all of a sudden this weekend she committed suicide. So does that seem strange to anyone? Maybe, maybe not. This is a 2019 tweet from Virginia Giuffre. She says, "I am making it publicly known that in no way, shape, or form am I suicidal. I have made this known to my therapist, my general practitioner. If something happens to me, in the sake of my family, do not let this go away and help me to protect them. Too many evil people want to see me quieted." And today her death was ruled a suicide. Now, audience, did she take her own life? Maybe, maybe not. There was the tweet she wrote in 2019 saying she's definitely not suicidal, will never be suicidal. But again, a lot can change in 6 years in someone's life. I think we could all agree on that. We could also all agree that this probably needs investigated. And we need some answers on Epstein and that whole island thing that was going on for Lord knows how long. What the hell was that all about? We still don't know. Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, where are you on this one? Ah, jeez. Okay, again, Epstein Island. We don't even know what the purpose of Epstein Island is, what they were doing there. And now another Epstein victim, dead. She killed herself. I don't know, after she got hit by a bus and went into renal failure and then made a miraculous comeback. Let me actually read, this is from about 5 episodes ago. What I said was, the exact quote from the show, "Virginia Giuffre has taken a turn for the better," I said. "Apparently she survived renal failure and is going to make it now, unless, of course, she gets hit by another school bus while lying in her hospital bed or on the drive home, or if a road doctor gets into her PICC line or IV line. Maybe she'll hang herself," I said. "Or she could be shot by police in a few weeks like the Pizzagate kid. Or maybe she'll shoot herself on a park bench like Vince Foster." You know how the Clintons are. The point I made, though, I said, anyway, the point is Virginia Giuffre ain't out of the woods yet. And here we are. 2 weeks later, she committed suicide. Okay. Ryan, do you like stand-up comedy?
I love stand-up comedy.
So do I. There used to be this thing called the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Did you ever hear about it?
Yes.
Okay, so they would have a comic come up, he'd host. They'd have the presidents come, tell some jokes too.
Yes.
It was a fun event with everyone in the media. Everyone got along. It used to be a popular event. But today, in 2025, it sucks. Probably because the media is the butt of every joke. So this year's White House Correspondents' Dinner was just, it was just awkward. At the dinner, it was claimed repeatedly that the press was manipulated. Listen to this one. The press was manipulated by the Biden White House about his cognitive decline. The White House manipulated the press. So, question. Was the press manipulated by the Biden White House when an LA Times reporter's question made it onto a typed out note card? Remember this, audience? A typed out note card that President Biden held in his hand prior to picking her and asking it. Remember that? It happened more than once, but there's one viral photo, look it up, of President Biden holding a note card in his hand. And on that note card, you'll see a picture of Courtney Subranaisan, I think is her name, and her question. Well, guess what? Courtney, whatever her name, Subramanian, I don't even know how to say her name. She's on the board of the White House Correspondents' Dinner, though, now. So not only did her question appear on a note card that was somehow Joe Biden had her question and everything before she asked it, but now she's on the White House Correspondents' Dinner board? And I don't understand this narrative that they were, the media got fooled. We got had. The only people in the world that completely missed the story of Joe Biden's mental decline were in that room eating a fancy dinner. Like, this is, talk about let them eat cake. We all were screaming, pulling our hair out, lighting our stuff on fire, going, Joe Biden isn't running the country. And these people were going, that's a cheap fake. You just posted a cheap fake of him. And then they have this fancy dinner where they probably have lobster, probably $1,000 plate dinner or something crazy, where they say, sorry, we got it wrong. Listen, American people, please trust us now. We learned our lesson. Did they learn? Or are they just reporting on these judges being... Look how they're reporting on these judges that are just being arrested. Did they learn? How are they reporting on tariffs, the stock market, egg prices? I can go on and on. They haven't learned. They're never going to learn. This is why Trump won. And why, if he can, and he's allowed to run again in 2028, he will win a third term. By the way, let's talk the Trump 2028 hat. We covered it for a second last week. So Eric Trump put on that Trump 2028 hat. Everyone lost their minds in the media. Audience, ask yourself, as Americans, do we deserve to see Barack Obama versus Donald Trump in 2028? Yes. So change the rules and allow it to happen. We deserve it as Americans. Listen, think. 100 and some years ago, Americans were able to see the Lincoln-Douglas debates. Let's bring back that style of politics. We have television now. We don't have to travel by train everywhere to hear it either. Obama versus Trump, 2028. You're talking about two completely different schools of thought on where the country should go, and it being debated by two-term presidents for an entire election cycle, and all of it happening in front of the American people. And all of it being recorded on video for posterity, so future generations can look back and say, wow, that's what was said. Those are the two schools of thought. Wouldn't you want that? What Trump voter wouldn't? What Kamala voter, if there are any still, wouldn't want that? What Biden voter, what liberal, who wouldn't want that? Democrats, Republicans, let's be bipartisan. Call your congressman and tell them to repeal the 22nd Amendment so we can see Trump versus Obama in 2028. Ryan, where am I wrong?
I think that would be interesting. I mean, talking about, we just got through the March Madness and, where the best play the best. I think just as a human being, I think that could be a lot of fun. But you know what? I got to say, at the end of it, whoever's side doesn't win, it could get pretty ugly, because you figured the way the Democrats look at Obama, a lot of Republicans look the same way at Trump, and they're both held really high. And if those, like I said, whoever loses, it could get really ugly.
If we had a fully honest media, I think Trump buries him. Not figuratively speaking. Whoa.
Right.
Can't on like another chef situation like the Obama's vacation home or anything.
And that's the thing also, I mean, you have to, it has to be done fair. I mean, you can't have two big heavyweights like that and then, have hanging chads and missing.
Trump would wipe the floor with him simply because Obama spotted his campaign in 2016. They sat in that Oval Office, him, Joe Biden, and John Brennan, and they thought about how could we go after Trump while he's president. And then all the other things that happened to Trump. Obama's behind it all. I don't think Obama wants to do it because he has a nice, happy retirement. And the fact that he wouldn't want to do it, that tells you all you need to know.
Yeah.
All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to cover Trump being right again about DEI. Stay tuned. You're listening to Thinking Logically here on 99.3 FM, WBVP.
It's true. Putting all of your eggs into one basket not only makes them easier to carry around, but it can also save you money. This is Kalen from Freedom United Federal Credit Union. And yes, I'm the guy behind our recent social media campaign that compared consolidating high-rate credit cards to putting all your eggs into one basket. Sometimes, having lots of options is beneficial, but usually not when it comes to credit cards. Combining balances and getting better terms almost always saves you money. And I can prove it. Get this. Last month, Freedom United Federal Credit Union saved our members over $23,000 by helping them put all those eggs or credit card balances into one easy, manageable basket, or should I say account. It's the month for eggs, so let's gather all of yours, put them into one basket, and put Freedom United in your future. Member NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
Your success is our success. We belong to you.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logic here, 99.3 FM WBVP. Quite a jam-packed episode. Judges being arrested, Trump getting an A+, and his administration averaging probably around a B+ average overall throughout the first 100 days. We got blackouts in Europe. We got all kind of things going on. It's getting spicy. And that takes us to our next story. Speaking of spicy, do you know who George Santos is, Ryan?
Yes.
Former congressman.
Yes.
He was actually a drag queen named Katara. Well, he was sentenced to 87 months for wire fraud and aggravated identity theft. I was a big George Santos fan. I thought he was at least hilarious. The charges stem from a fraudulent scheme during his 2022 congressional campaign. Maybe Katara can call up President Trump for a pardon. I don't know. But I wish all congressmen and women were held to the same accountability. Bob Menendez, actually, I think he got 11 years in prison for the gold that he stole or whatever. Okay, so next story. Trump was right again, this time about DEI being the reason for the D.C. helicopter crash. You all probably remember this, audience. Now even the New York Times is saying it was severe pilot error that caused this in-air collision. So it appears the helicopter pilot ignored multiple warnings from her right seat about altitude and directly telling her to turn away, and she flew straight into the passenger jet. The female junior officer refused to listen to repeated warnings from both her team and instructor to descend and get out of the way of the airplane. Loback reportedly had 45 hours of flying experience and served as an aide to Joe Biden. Loback's male co-pilot and Army flight instructor directly told her to turn away, and she flew straight into the passenger jet. Not only was the Black Hawk flying too high, but in the final seconds before the crash, its pilot failed to heed a directive from her co-pilot, who was an Army flight instructor. I don't know. Next thing you know, they'll blame the Army co-pilot for mansplaining things too much. I don't know. But again, was it DEI? She was a Biden aide. 45 hours of flying, and you're going to go to D.C., one of the most high traffic airfields in the country, probably, with a helicopter? I don't know. Next topic. And this is probably going to be our last topic. Are you familiar with Neuralink, Ryan?
I am actually,
okay.
Yes.
So Neuralink is this thing that Elon Musk created, or one of his companies created, where it's supposed to be like a brain implant you put into your brain, and you can control things using. I don't want to sound like Professor Xavier from like X-Men, but like you could control things using like your mind.
It's true, yeah.
So 2 people have had it. Well, a third person got it. So, audience, the show is called Thinking Logically. We use logic to appeal to our audience's reason. And sometimes we have to cover very, very controversial topics. This is one of those topics. So on the social media app X, Bradford G. Smith, he is a man with ALS. Can't talk, can't move. He has ALS. Terrible disease. He posted this on X. He said, "I am the third person in the world to receive the Neuralink brain implant. The first with ALS and the first nonverbal. I am typing this with my brain. It is my primary communication. Ask me anything. I will answer at least all verified users." Okay. Now, some asked what it feels like. Ryan, what question would you ask? Let me start here. What question would you ask him?
I don't know. Just kind of depending off what you were going. You would just.
What it feels like, if anything.
Absolutely, yes.
Any complications?
Right.
I think this is. I want to point out a certain comment. It's hilarious, but the person makes a great point. And audience, just bear with me, please. They make a great point. This is from the account Victory Duck. Quote, "Does it let you type the N-word?" Serious question.
Oh, my.
Well, okay. Calm down. It's a great point. Does it only let certain paraplegic people use that word or what? It's asking awesome philosophical questions there. Should this technology should it allow complete free expression like you have? Or should it censor what the user is thinking to an extent, and to what extent, and who makes the rules on the extent. You see?
Yeah.
See? No one wants you to go around saying that with Neuralink in, but we're just asking,
Right.
Can you say that with it in, or will it stop it? Are there blockers? And here's the thing. If it has blockers, I think it's more scary than someone being able to say a dirty word.
Yeah.
Don't you?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
it's a slippery slope to go
Right.
down. I'm sorry. It's a great point. And I don't know if the person Victory Duck was trying to be funny or not, but it's a great point. Does it let you type something racist? Doesn't have to be does it let you type something racist? What if it's something about COVID vaccines? Go back 5 years ago. It's a slippery slope. Again, and then the third most liked comment was someone responding to Victory Duck. Mike Fahrenheit responded and said this: how about when he thinks it, but doesn't actually want to say it? Does it still type it? That would get me in a ton of trouble.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's a great point.
And that's just funny. That's just funny. But someone would say, well, why are you thinking of that word?
Or
There's
any word.
Any word at all.
Right.
I think some dirty thoughts sometimes.
Right.
I don't want...
You're human.
Yeah. Again, these are great questions to ask, but the left would want to shut down that line of questioning and call you a racist. Do you see why we can never have a conversation with these mindless imbeciles?
Yes.
Again, the show is called Thinking Logically. We just had a logical conversation, and we avoided the talk of racism. We gave an example. No one wants to be a racist. No one is a racist. It's just a philosophical question, and it's a great point, because at what point do we say you can't have free expression because it's dangerous? Right?
Absolutely.
All right. Now we can get to football. What do you think?
I got one more question for you. I wasn't really, I don't know what the Stephen Hawking's deal was, but was his system somewhat similar to this? Because he never appeared to be moving. He didn't appear to be using his hands, but when he was in his wheelchair and slumped over, he would speak.
And he had no problem getting midgets on Epstein Island.
But you see what I'm saying? Like,
no, I know what you
so
mean.
was he, obviously this is the technology that Neuralink is coming up with now. So there had to be something similar for Stephen Hawking, because this is exactly what it looked like.
Well, they would use that little thing on your mouth to operate the chair first. I don't know what he had the last couple years, but
there was something in place, though, to where he was able to express himself.
Yes, there was.
Verbally, and he couldn't talk. So I just wondered,
But this seemed better. This guy was on social media dealing out, he was like a little celebrity on there. I hope it works out for him, because ALS is a terrible disease.
Absolutely.
All diseases are terrible. ALS is dementia, all these diseases. If we can't have cures, then we got to find out what causes them. And in the meantime, let's try to help the people that are suffering. So again, do we restrict this guy's thoughts? That's the whole point of the conversation. Just because he says a bad word or thinks a bad word, are we going to restrict his thoughts now? If so, what's the purpose of this? If you can't be a free-thinking human,
it makes you wonder, because other technology, you think of your social media right there in your hand when you're on your phone, and you are restricted by things that you can and can't say on social media. So I would.
And the people were wrong that restricted the last 4 years. They got it all wrong.
You're right.
Social distancing, everything. Ukraine,
Yes.
Afghanistan withdrawal. We could go on. We could have another hour on that.
Absolutely.
All right, we got about 3 minutes left. Let's talk football.
Yes.
Saquon Barkley, he caught flack for playing golf with President Trump over the weekend. I think he played with Obama like a month before or something, or right after the Super Bowl. Anyway, he caught flack for that. I don't know. I like Saquon more. He posted a statement saying, "What's it matter who I golf with? I just respect the office of the president."
Absolutely. That is true. And one thing about it, another thing I keep seeing is, all the golfing. For one, he's 80 years old. The fact that he gets out there and exercises, this is his way of exercise. He's a very busy person. He works many hours a day. He doesn't get the things done that he gets done by not. The people coming after him for playing golf, Joe Biden sat on that beach and just stared out into the.
He was in a sand trap for 4 years in Delaware.
4 years, and you knew things weren't getting done. This guy, again, he's 80. He manages to get out and get his exercise every day. I applaud him for that. But that's always going to be an argument from the left.
And you can talk business while you golf. You can.
Absolutely.
Golf's one of the few sports where you can do that.
A lot of people do.
All right, let's talk about the Browns. So the Browns, they wasted a premium draft pick in the third round on a quarterback. That's probably going to be their third string quarterback at best. Dylan, what's his name? Dylan Gabriel or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so why do I think this? Because they took another quarterback 2 rounds later. They used a premium draft pick on a backup quarterback that was labeled as like a day 3 pick from Oregon, Dylan Gabriel, projected as a day 3 guy. And then they took Shador Sand. They took Gabriel in the first 100 picks. 100 picks. And then Shedeur Sanders. And then you go on FanDuel. Shedeur Sanders, Kenny Pickett's the favorite to start, then Shedeur Sanders, and then Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they would do this. I have no idea why they would trade away a chance to get Travis Hunter.
That's what I thought. Come on, you need some kind of weapon. This guy is he's going to be a star in the league. The Browns just do what the Browns do. It doesn't even surprise you
Look,
anymore.
Washington Redskins, when they were still the Redskins,
Yes.
we were allowed to call them the Redskins. We could even think it, the Neuralink Redskins in their name. They drafted 2 quarterbacks, Kirk Cousins in the 4th round, I believe, and in the 1st round they got RG3.
Yes.
That worked out for them because it was
Yes.
safety net. I don't know, but just it's the Browns. Figure it out.
I
Do
know.
better. Do better. All right. Remember, no show on Thursday. We'll be back Monday, 5 to 6 p.m. Until then, you've been listening to Joe Corsi here on 99.3 FM WBVP.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and